Vivasati Gaurabhakta.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
So, till now we finished Bhakti Yoga concept, which was explained till chapter 12. Now we are going to start the Jnana Yoga concept, the concept of knowledge by which we become attached to the Lord and become detached from the matter. That's the perspective here. So Krishna explains, like Prabhupada gives the communication between chapter 12 to chapter 13, how that the route for this chapter is starting, he communicates here. So in chapter 6 to 12, Lord Krishna concluded his description of Bhakti Yoga. From 13 to 18, he is going to describe Jnana Yoga. So one may ask, if Bhakti is the culmination of Yoga ladder, why is Jnana presented after the section of Bhakti? So understanding the connection between Bhakti and Jnana will help us reveal the reason. In text number 12.7, Lord Krishna promised to save his devotee from the path of birth and death. So chapters 13 to 18 fulfill this promise by supplying the philosophical knowledge necessary to extricate oneself from material entanglement. So we call this the Jnana section, but in truth, the entire Bhagavad Gita is only Bhakti. The first 6 chapters describe how to achieve Bhakti through one's works. The last 6 chapters discuss how to achieve Bhakti through knowledge. And the middle 6 chapters discuss Bhakti itself. So Jnana has its use in assisting our detachment from Maya and our subsequent attachment to Krishna. So when we utilize knowledge as a means to attain devotion, it becomes a part of Bhakti. So without the touch of Bhakti, both Karma and Jnana are useless. That is the another reason why the discussion of Bhakti comes in the middle of Bhagavad Gita, where it can remain in contact with both Karma and Jnana and thus lend them value the connection. So that's the perspective. So Arjuna starts with his question of inquiry. He had put forward 6 questions in this, 6 different subjects of knowledge. So where entire this chapter reveals all that 6 answers. All of you can recite after me. Arjuna Vacha.
Arjuna Vacha.
Prakritim Purusham Chaiva.
Prakritim Purusham Chaiva.
Kshetram Kshetrajnam Evacha.
Kshetram Kshetrajnam Evacha.
Etad Veditum Ichchami.
Etad
Jnanam Jneyam Cha Keshava.
Jnanam Jneyam Cha Keshava.
Once again, Arjuna Vacha.
Arjuna Vacha.
Prakritim Purusham Chaiva.
Prakritim Purusham Chaiva.
Kshetram Kshetrajnam Evacha.
Kshetram Kshetrajnam Evacha.
Etad Veditum Ichchami.
Etad Veditum Ichchami.
Jnanam Jneyam Cha Keshava.
Jnanam Jneyam Cha Keshava.
So Arjuna Vacha, Arjuna is asking to Krishna, Prakritim Purusham Chaiva. So I want to know what is Prakriti, what is Purusha. Kshetram Kshetrajnam Evacha. What is the field of activity and the knower of field of activity. Etad Veditum Ichchami. I wanted to know, I had a desire to know all these subjects. Jnanam Jneyam Cha Keshava. Oh my dear Keshava, Jnanam and Jneyam, knowledge and the object of knowledge. So Arjuna said, oh my dear Krishna, hey Keshava, I wish to know Etad Veditum Ichchami about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, Kshetram Kshetrajnam Evacha, and of knowledge and the end of knowledge, Jnanam Jneyam Cha. These are the 6 specific questions asked by Arjuna, for which Krishna starts answering. Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Idam Shariram Kaunteya.
Idam Shariram Kaunteya.
Kshetram iti abhidiyate.
Kshetram abhidiyate.
Etadyo vetitam prahuhu.
Etadyo vetitam prahuhu.
Kshetrajna iti tadvidaha.
Kshetrajna iti tadvidaha.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
idam shariram kaunteya
Idam shariram kaunteya.
kshetram iti abhidhiyate
Kshetram iti abhidhiyate.
etadyo vetitam prahuhu
Etadyo vedyatam prahuhu.
kshetrajñā iti tadvidaha.
Kshetrajñā iti tadvidaha.
So the Supreme Lord is answering here. Idam shariram kaunteya, O my dear Arjuna, this body, kshetram iti abhidhyate, is known of the field of action. Etatyo vetitam prahuhu. So one who knows about this field, kshetrajñā iti tadvidaha. He is known as kshetrajñā, knower of the field of activities. The Blessed Lord then said, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, this body, idam shariram, O son of Kunti, kaunteya, is called the field, kshetram iti abhidhiyate. And one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. Yah etad veti tadvidaha tam kshetrajñā iti prahuhu. So, definition of kshetra as given in the purport by Prabhupada. So, kshetra means body as the field of activity. So, for whom it is? For the conditioned soul. So how does he get this body? When he is entrapped in this material existence, he receives this body. On what criteria does he receive this body? According to the capacity to lord over material nature and according to the capacity to enjoy sense gratification, he receives that specific kind of body. Then kshetrajñā, the person who does not identify himself with the body, he is separate from the body, he is the knower of the body. So how to understand the difference between kshetra and kshetrajñā? So based on Bhagavad Gita 2.13, dehinosmin yata dehe. A person changes his body from childhood to old age, yet he is a single person. Means I can identify my childhood photo. My body has been changed, but still I know it is me. So similarly, it is me means I, the spirit soul, is different from that material body. So we undergo various situations like happy, mad, woman, and so on, which are all bodily designations. We may use many articles, but we know we are different from the things used. So from the above points, we understand by a little contemplation that we are different from this body. I say my finger, but I will not say I finger. My body, I will not say I body. So in that way, we can easily, I say that I am not this body, I am something different from the body who is present in this body. So comparison of knowledge in the 3 sections of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada gives the basics. So first 6 chapters discuss the knower of the body and the position by which he can understand the Supreme Lord. The middle 6 chapters discuss the Supreme Lord and the relationship between the Jiva and the Super Soul in regards to Bhakti. It describes the superior position of Krishna and subordinate position of Jiva. Then 4 kinds of pious men who can approach the Lord. This is mentioned in 7.16 Bhagavad Gita. And the last 6 chapters explain about how the Jiva comes in contact with matter, material nature. And it also explains how Jiva is delivered by the Lord through different methods. So this is in conclusion of entire Bhagavad Gita in 6 chapters wise. In one lecture, Prabhupada says, a farmer, Kshetrajña, is plowing the land, Kshetra. He knows, I am plowing this ground, he is planting the seed and he is reaping the results. And what is the fruit that one gets? It is according to what he plants. Similarly, the person, the soul, has a field which is basically this body. And the happiness and distress that he will reap from this field depend on the activities that he performs with the body. The body is called the field of activity, and the doer or the soul is called the knower of the field. Like one more place in one more lecture, Prabhupada says, Arjuna wanted to know what is the distinction, what is the integral part and parcel of this Prakriti and Purusha. Then Kshetram, Kshetrajña. Jna means one who knows. And Kshetrajña means one who knows the field. Just like the agriculturist, the cultivator, he knows this is my field. He works there. Different cultivator works in his own field. So this Kshetra means this body, the field of activity. We have got different fields of activities. So Kshetram, Kshetrajñam, cha. Etad veditum ichchami. My dear Krishna, I want to know from you. Why he wants to know from Krishna? Because Krishna is infallible. Whatever knowledge we get from the infallible, that is perfect knowledge. See, in the early of 20th century, a scientist analyzed the constituents of this human body, and he came to this specific conclusion that human body has enough lime to make 5 cakes of soap, enough iron to fabricate 6 small nails, enough phosphorus to make 20 matchboxes, enough sugar to sweeten 10 cups of coffee, a little sulfur, a little calcium and other trace elements. And can we guess the entire total worth of the chemicals? It is worth around 240 rupees. What our material body consists of. So are we just bundles of chemicals which have aligned together by chance and exhibiting various feelings and emotions? So like sometimes happy, sometimes shocked, sometimes smiling, sometimes fighting. So who are we? So this is a small story which explains about.
A woman enjoyed the practice of baking bread for members of her family. She also made an extra one for a hungry passerby. She kept the extra bread on the windowsill for whosoever would take it away. Every day, a hunchback came and took away the bread. Instead of expressing gratitude, he muttered the following words as he went his way. The evil you do remains with you. The good you do comes back to you. This went on day after day. Every day, the hunchback came, picked up the bread, and uttered the words, the evil you do remains with you. The good you do comes back to you. The woman felt irritated. Not a word of gratitude, she said to herself. Every day, this hunchback utters this jingle. What does it mean? One day, she decided to do away with him. I shall get rid of this hunchback, she said. She added poison to the bread she prepared for him. However, as she was about to place the loaf on the windowsill, her hands trembled. What is this I'm doing? She said to herself. Immediately, she threw the bread into the fire, prepared another one, and placed it on the windowsill. As usual, the hunchback came, picked up the bread, and muttered the words, the evil you do remains with you. The good you do comes back to you. The hunchback proceeded on his way, blissfully unaware of the war raging in the mind of the woman. The woman had a son who had gone to a distant place to seek his fortune. For many months, she had no news of him, and she prayed fervently for his safe return. That evening, there was a knock on the door. As she opened it, she was surprised to find her son standing in the doorway. He had grown thin and lean. His garments were tattered and torn. He was hungry, starved, and weak. As he saw his mother, he said, Mom, it's a miracle I'm here. While I was but a mile away, I was so famished that I collapsed. I would have died, but just then, an old hunchback passed by. I begged of him for a morsel of food, and he was kind enough to give me a whole bread. As he gave it to me, he said, This is what I eat every day. Today, I shall give it to you, for your need is greater than mine. As the mother heard those words, her face turned pale. She leaned against the door for support. She remembered the poisoned bread that she had made that morning. Had she not burnt it in the fire, it would have been eaten by her own son, and he would have lost his life. It was then that she realized the significance of the words, the evil you do remains with you. The good you do comes back to you. Our actions and words are born from our thoughts.
So as we sow, we shall reap. What we do with this body, what kind of things we sow, that kind of fruits we achieve from this field of activity. That's what the point, what is being communicated here. So all of you can recite the next verse. Kshetrajnam chapimam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam yatta jnanam matam mama Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi.
Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi.
Sarva kshetreshu bharata.
Sarva kshetreshu bharata.
Kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam.
Kshetra kshetrajnayo jnanam.
Yatta jnanam matam mama.
Yatta jnanam matam mama.
So Krishna is saying kshetrajnam cha api mam. So I am also the knower of the field of activities. But sarva kshetreshu bharata. Oh my dear Arjuna, not only just this body, in all the bodies. Kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam, one who knows about the kshetra and kshetrajna, that is considered yatta jnanam matamama, is considered the knowledge according to my opinion. So, O scion of Bharata, hey Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies. Sarva kshetru mam cha api kshetrajnam vidhi. And to understand this body and its owner is called as knowledge. Kshetra kshetrajnayor yat jnanam tat jnanam. And that is my opinion. Mama matam. So what are the three different topics of study? That is, one is the Lord, the living entity, and the matter. And who can attain this knowledge? So one who studies the subject matter of the field of activity and the knower of field very minutely in terms of this Bhagavad Gita can attain to this knowledge. So and what is knowledge or jnanam? Perfect knowledge of the constitution of the body, individual soul, and of the super soul is known in terms of Vedic literature as jnanam. So to understand both the soul and super soul as one, yet distinct in knowledge. So who is not in perfect knowledge? One who does not understand the field of activity and the knower of activity is not in perfect knowledge. So what are the differences between the two knowers? The soul as the individual knower and super soul as the super knower. Super soul is supreme proprietor of all the bodies, but soul is only for one body. Like there is an analogy. Citizen is the proprietor of one land, but king is the proprietor of all the lands. Supreme Lord is the supreme controller of all the senses, and soul is the secondary controller of his specific body only. Like king is the original controller of all activities. Sentients are secondary controllers. One is fallible, other is infallible. One is subordinate, other is superior. So basic reference from Mahabharata, Kshetrani hi Sharirani mentions there are two knowers of the body. So what is the relationship between Prakriti, Purusha and enjoyer? So one has to understand the position of Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer of the nature, and Ishvara, the knower who dominates or controls the nature and the individual soul. So one should not confuse the three in their different capacities. There is a painting, there is an easel and a painter. Painter holds the easel and he draws a painting. So there are three different perspectives. So this material world, which is a field of activities, is nature. And the enjoyer of the nature is the living entity. And above them is both the supreme controller, the supreme lord. So reference one Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Bhokta Bhogyam Preritaram Cha. There are three Brahman conceptions. Prakriti is Brahman as a field of activity. Jiva is also Brahman and is trying to control material nature. And controller of both of them is also known as Brahman, but he is the factual controller. So then people may say, is the soul and super soul same? So one who understands the two knowers of the field to be one and the same contradicts the supreme. Because I am only a secondary knower. I cannot know what is happening in my body. But Lord knows everything what is happening not only in my body, but in everyone's body also. That's why I don't know what is happening in others' body. So there's a complete distinction between Jiva and the super soul. Like analogy, one who misunderstands a rope to be a serpent is not in knowledge. The word Cha is significant, for it indicates the total number of bodies. Krishna is the super soul present in each and every body apart from the individual soul. So Krishna explicitly says that the super soul is the controller of both the field of activities and the finite enjoyer. So he is the controller of everything. So similarly, the characteristics of the Supreme Lord Kshetrajna, as mentioned in Bhagavatam, 5th canto, he is known as Atma, the all-pervading cause of creation. He is known as Purushaha, the unrestricted controller, Puranaha, the original, Sakshat, perceived by hearing and direct perception, Swayam Jyotihi, he is self-effulgent, Ajaha, he has no birth, no death, old age or disease, Pareshaha, he is the controller of Para Ishaha, controller of all the demigods, Narayanaha, he is the shelter of all the jivas after the annihilation of this world, Bhagavan, who is full of all opulences, Vasudevaha, the resting place of everything material, Swamaya Atmani Avadiyamanaha, present within the hearts of all living entities by his own potency. Swamaya Atmani Avadiyamana. So he's like all pervading, just as air enters and controls all moving and stationary beings in the form of prana, Lord Vasudeva, the knower of all bodies, enters all bodies and controls them. So in one lecture, Prabhupada says, so myself I am called Atma and Krishna is called as Paramatma. Therefore, there are two words, Paramatma and Atma. Atma is individual, Paramatma is also individual, but because both of us, we are knower, the living entity is Kshetrajna, he has got knowledge. And Krishna says, Kshetrajnam cha apimam vidhi, I am also knower. So both of them, we are knower. We have got knowledge. My knowledge may be limited, but Krishna's knowledge is unlimited and complete. But both of us, we are knower. We can understand, we can know. Therefore, we are called as Kshetrajna. But the difference is Krishna knows everything all over the creation. I even do not know what is going on in my body. That is the difference. So one more place, I am kicking God. So how can one become God? Rascal. How can one become God? That is not possible. God knows everything. If one knows everything, then you can accept him as God. Otherwise, you don't accept. As soon as somebody says, I am God, kick him on his face. Yes, you are God, I am God. I am kicking God. That should be the answer. I am the shoe beater God. Now you can protect yourself if you are God. So don't accept these false gods. Then one more lecture, Prabhupada says, why did Krishna dance with others' wives? Because he is the owner of all bodies. Actually, he is the proprietor. Dehe sarvasya bharata. I am not proprietor. He is the proprietor. So if the proprietor dances with his maid servants or devotees, what is wrong with this? He is their proprietor. You are not the proprietor. Super soul is the real proprietor. Krishna says, Bhoktaram yajnatapasham sarvaloka maheshwaram. He is the supreme proprietor. Suhrudam sarvabhutanam. He is actually the friend. If I am a lover, I am not a friend. Krishna is a real friend. So if the gopis dance with their real friend, what is wrong there? But these rascals who do not know Krishna think it is immoral. So this is one small story, explains about who really wins. So there was a farmer who grew superior quality and award-winning corn. So each year he entered his corn in the state fair and where it won honor and prizes. So one year, a newspaper reporter interviewed him and learned something interesting about how he grew the best corn. The reporter discovered that the farmer shared his seed corn with his neighbors. Then the reporter inquired from him, how can you afford to share your best seed corn with your neighbors when they are entering corn in competition with yours each year? The reporter asked. The farmer said, why, sir? Don't you know the wind picks up pollen from the ripening corn and swirls it from field to field? If my neighbors grew inferior, substandard and poor quality corn, cross-pollination will steadily degrade the quality of my corn. So if I am to grow good corn, I must help my neighbor also grow good corn. Then I'll be properly situated. So it is, if we, by helping others, everybody as a group, we win. So share this knowledge and become the recipient of this knowledge from the Lord. That's what we have to understand from this perspective. So next, till now, Arjuna had asked certain questions and Krishna started answering two parts of it. Now Krishna is adding further more questions, how to understand more technically. All of you can recite this verse. Tak kshetram yacha yadruk
Kshetram yaksha yadakcha
Yad vikari yataschayat.
yadvikariyaschaya
Tachayo yad prabhavascha.
sachayo prabhavascha
Tat samasena me shrunu.
tasamasena me shrunu
Takshetram yacha yadrakcha.
kshetram yaksha yadriksha
Yad vikari yataschayat.
yadvikariyaschaya
Tachayo yad prabhavascha.
sachayo prabhavascha
Tat samasena me shrunu.
tasamasena me shrunu.
So he's saying tak kshetram. Now please hear my brief description. Tat samasena me shrunu yadriksha about this body as it is, of this field of activity and how it is constituted. Tak kshetram yatcha. What's its changes are yad vikari. Whence it is produced yatascha. And who that knower of the field of activities is saha cha yaha. And what his influences are yat prabhava cha. So these are the various questions which are added to the earlier 6th part. So what is explained where? Yakcha, how the body is constituted, is explained in so and so verse. Yadvikari, what the changes the body undergoes. Yataha, how, when and where the body is produced. Sachayaha, identity of the knower of the field of activities. Yat prabhavaha, the influence of the knower. So one has to know how this body is constituted, materials of which this body is made, under whose control this body is working, how the changes are taking place, where from the changes are coming, what the causes are, what the reasons are, what the ultimate goal of the living individual is, and what the actual form of individual soul is. So these are the various perspectives in which Krishna is going to elaborate. So one should also know the distinction between individual living soul and the super soul, the different influences and their potentials. One just has to understand this Bhagavad Gita directly from the description given by the Supreme Lord, and all this will be clarified. Like Prabhupada says, if one understands these 3 things, he can study everywhere these 3 things. Kshetra, Kshetrajnayor, Ejnanam. This knowledge to understand everywhere that there is a field of activity and 2 persons are interested in that field of activity. One is the owner, another is the occupier. If you study these 3 things only, then that jnanam, that is knowledge. Otherwise, all rascals and fools. That's all. Matam mama. This is my opinion. So now Krishna further continues. All of you can recite after that. Recite after this verse. Rushibir bahuda gitam.
Gitam
Chendo vir vividai pratak.
Vividaihi Pratha
Brahma sutra padaishchaiva.
Brahmasutra Padaischaiva
Hetum adbir vinishchitaihi.
Hetumadbir Vinishchitaihi.
Once again, Rushibir bahuda gitam. Chendo vir vividai pratak.
Chandobir Vividaihi Pratha
Brahma sutra padaishchaiva.
Brahmasutra Padaischaiva
Hetum adbir vinishchitaihi.
Hetumadbir Vinishchitaihi.
So Krishna is saying here, Rushibir bahuda gitam. Many great sages in various ways they have explained this subject. Chandobi vividai pratak, in various Vedic writings. Brahma Sutra Pada Sheva, and specifically Vedanta Sutra talks about this subject. Hetu Madbir Vinishchitaihi, with the original cause and effect as the delineation of the subject. So that knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of activities is described Vinishchitaihi eva by various sages in various Vedic writings. Rushibir Vividai Chandovihi, especially in the Vedanta Sutra. Brahma Sutra Padaihi, and is presented with all reasoning as to cause and effect. Pratak Bahuda Gitam Hetumadbhischa. So what is the standard practice followed by the learned scholars? So they always give evidence from previous authorities. So Krishna is also giving reference from great sages who are the previous authorities. So on what basis is Krishna explaining the most controversial point? So he is referring to Vedanta, which is accepted as authority. Vyasadeva is the author of Vedanta, and in Vedanta, duality is perfectly explained. So Parasara, father of Vyasadeva, explains in his book of religiosity. In Katha Upanishad, the distinction is made between the soul and the super soul and the body. So till now, what we have studied, all the subjects has been basic. Then how can the living entity become perfect? So in this field of activities, the Jiva is considered to be the enjoyer, and different from him is the Anandamaya, the Supreme Lord. If the living entity desires to enjoy in dovetailing himself with the Anandamaya, then he becomes perfect. So this is something called as Brahma Pucham, 5 stages of Brahman realization. The first one is called as Annamaya, where one simply depends upon food for existence. This is a materialistic perspective. Pranamaya, beyond this food, I am this life air, which is body, which is there within this body. In the life symptoms and life forms, one can perceive the Supreme Lord. Jnanamaya, where he comes to the point of mind, where one can perceive the living symptoms by thinking, feeling, and willing. Vijnanamaya, by which the living entity's mind and life symptoms are distinguished from the living entity itself. And Anandamaya is the realization of the all blissful nature of the Supreme Lord. The relationship of 5 stages of Brahman realization with Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Annamaya, Pranamaya, and Jnanamaya involve the field of activities of the living entities. So gross body is Annamaya and Pranamaya, subtle body is Jnanamaya. So transcendental to all these fields of activities is the Supreme Lord, who is known as Anandamaya. So Jiva becomes Vijnanamaya. The conclusion is the Supreme Lord as a supreme knower of the field, the living entity as subordinate knower, and the nature of the field of activities. So Prabhupada explains about this Annamaya to Anandamaya in Krishna book, Personification of Vedas. It is in the 85th chapter, somewhere 86th or 80 plus chapter it is. So within this body, there are various departments of existence known as Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and at last Anandamaya. All these are explained in Brahmananda Valli of Taittiriya Upanishad. Annamaya, in the beginning of life, every living entity is put conscious. A child or an animal is satisfied only by getting nice food. So this stage of consciousness in which the goal is to eat sumptuously is called as Annamaya. Pranamaya, after this one lives in the consciousness of being alive. If one can continue his life without being attacked or destroyed, one thinks himself happy. This is called as Pranamaya, or consciousness of one's existence. Manomaya, after the stage when one is situated on the mental platform, that is called as Manomaya. So material civilization is primarily situated in these 3 stages, Annamaya, Pranamaya, and Manomaya. The first concern is economic development. Next is defense against being annihilated. And the next consciousness is mental speculation, philosophical approach to the values of life. Then comes Vijnanamaya. If by the evolutionary process of philosophical life, one happens to reach to the platform of intellectual life and understands that he is not this material body, but a pure spirit soul, then he is considered as Vijnanamaya. The Anandamaya stage, by evolution of spiritual life, he comes to understand the Supreme Lord. And when he develops his relationship with the Supreme Lord and executes bhakti, that is called as Anandamaya stage. It's a final stage. So in one lecture, Prabhupada explains. This Brahma Sutra is called as Nyaya Trasthana, logic and reason. Hetu Madbihi means cause and effect, everything. Because people like to understand everything on the basis of philosophy and reasoning. Understanding without philosophy is sentiment, and philosophy without religious conception is mental speculation. So these 2 things are going on, not combined. All over the world, there are many so-called religious systems, but there is no philosophy. Therefore, the so-called religious system does not appeal to the modern educated persons. That's why they are giving up religion. Christian, Muslim, Hindu, they do not like simply to undertake formalities and rituals. They want to know everything on the basis of philosophy, and that is Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is based on philosophy, the system of Krishna Bhakti. Bhagavad Gita means Krishna Bhakti, devotion to Krishna, Krishna consciousness. So the last verse for this today, all of you can recite after me. Mahabhutani ahankaro
Mahabhutani
Bhutani
Ahankaro
ahankaro
buddhir avyaktamevacha
buddhir cha
indriyani dasha ekam cha
ekam cha
pancachendriya gocharaha
panchachendriya gochara
ichchadvesha sukham dukkham
ichchadvesha
sangataschetana dhrutihi etakshetram samasena
kshetram samasena
savikaram udahrutam.
savikaram udahrutam.
Once again, Mahabhutani ahankaro
Mahabhutani ahankaro
buddhir avyaktamevacha
buddhir avyaktameva cha
indriyani dashaikam cha
indriyani dasaikam cha
pancachendriya gocharaha
pancachendriya gochara
ichchadvesha sukham dukkham sangataschetana dhrutihi etakshetram samasena savikaram udahrutam. So Krishna says now about this material body. What does this material body constitute of? Mahabhutani ahankara. There are 5 material elements: air, earth, air, water, fire, ether, sky. Ahankaraha, false ego. Buddhihi, intelligence. Avyaktaha, unmanifested. Indriyani dasha ekam cha. So there are 11 senses, 5 knowledge acquiring, 5 working, and mind. Pancha cha indriya gocharaha, and there are 5 sense objects. Then there are feelings: ichcha, dvesha, sukham, dukkham, sangatas, chetana, dhrutihi. Consciousness, congregate. Etak kshetram samasena, one who understands this kshetram, material body. Savikaram, with all these transformations, udahrutam, as explained above. So the 5 great elements: false ego, intelligence, and the unmanifested. Mahabhutani ahankaraha buddhihi avyaktamevacha. The 10 senses: indriyani dashaha. The mind ekamcha. The 5 sense objects: pancha indriya gocharaha. Desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, and the life symptoms and convictions. Ichcha, dvesha, sukham, dukkham, sangataha, chetana, dhrutihi. So all these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. Etat savikaram kshetram samasena udahritam. So in summary, samasena, all these are savikaram, their interactions, and kshetram, to be the field of activities. There are 24 elements that are components of the field of activity. The 5 gross elements, panchabhutani, 3 subtle elements, mind, intelligence, and ego. 5 knowledge acquiring senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. 5 working senses: voice, hands, legs, anus, and genitals. 5 sense objects: smell, taste, touch, sound, and warmth. And there is 24th element, which is known as avyakta or unmanifested, and which is known as pradhana. So how to understand this field of activity? If one makes an analytical study of these 24 subjects, then he can very well understand the field of activity. So interactions of the gross body are desire, hatred, pleasure, and pain. Interactions of the subtle body are living symptoms represented by consciousness and conviction. So what is pradhana? The 5 great elements are a gross presentation of the subtle false ego. They are the representation in material conception. So consciousness is represented by intelligence, of which unmanifested stage is the 3 modes of material nature. This is called as pradhana. And what are sat vikaras? So there are 6 stages in which a body transforms. It born, grows, stays, produces byproducts, then begins to dwindle, and at last stage it vanishes. This is known as shed vikara. 6 transformations what this body goes through. So in Bhagavatam it says, Panchabir Brahma, Chatubir Dashabir Tata, Etat Chatur Vimshatikam, Ganam Pradhanikam Vidu. The aggregate elements, namely 5 gross elements, 5 subtle elements, the 4 internal organs, The 5 senses for gathering knowledge and the 5 outward organs of action are known as pradhana. Like Brahadarmika Upanishad says, Kama Sankalpa Vichiksha Shraddha Ashraddha Dhritir Adhritir Harir Dhrir Phir Etat Sarvam Mana Eva. Desire, determination, uncertainty, faith, lack of faith, perseverance, lack of perseverance, humility, intelligence, and fear are all products of the mind. So some are gross elements and some are subtle elements, subtle feelings. So this is from Bhagavatam, 10th canto, where it says, this body, which is the total body and the individual body are of the same composition, may be figuratively called the original tree. From this tree, which fully depends upon the ground of the material nature, comes 2 kinds of fruit, happiness and suffering. The cause of the tree forming its 3 roots in association with 3 modes of material nature, sattva, rajas, tamaha. The fruits of bodily happiness have 4 tastes, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, which are experienced through 5 senses for acquiring knowledge in the midst of 6 circumstances: lamentation, illusion, old age, death, hunger and thirst. The 7 layers of the bark covering the tree are the skin, blood, muscle, fat, bone, marrow and semen. 8 branches of the tree are the 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. The tree of the body has 9 hollows: eyes, ears, nostrils, mouth, rectum and genital. And there are 10 leaves, the 10 airs passing through the body. So in this tree of this body, there are 2 boards. One is the individual soul and the other is the super soul. So the entire structure of this body is explained in this one specific verse. All of you can read this Bhagavatam specific 10.2.27 and understand more detail there. Devotee who is in our Acharya Parampara, he is known as Shyamananda Pandit. After Shed Goswamis, there is Narottam Das Thakura, Srinivas Acharya and Shyamananda. So Narottam Das Thakura was asked to preach in Assam side. Srinivas Acharya went to Bengal and Shyamananda Pandit was sent to Orissa. So Shyamananda Pandit, on the order of Jiva Goswami, when he reached Orissa, he came to a place called Mayurbanj. This is the northern part of Orissa. So he was traveling with his disciple known as Rasikananda. Shyamananda further proceeds to various other places. So once he was doing Nagar Sankirtana, that area there was one Muslim ruler by name Sher Khan, Patan, Muslim, so very envious of Vaishnavas, Sankirtan and all. So when Shyamananda Pandit was organizing Sankirtana, he became very angry by seeing devotees chanting and dancing. He could not tolerate. The devotees are chanting and dancing. Their happy faces he could not tolerate. He went and gave warning to them. Don't come on the roads and don't do Sankirtan. So Shyamananda Pandit next day took even more number of people to Sankirtan. So by hearing their loud sounds and all, he became disturbed He came with his entire army and he broke away mrudangas, threw away kartals into the river. When he did this, Shyamananda Pandit got to know that he is disturbing the people in the Sankirtana. Then he loudly chanted the holy name of Radha Krishna. When he loudly chanted, all the Muslim people who are all there, all their beards and mustaches started burning and blood started oozing from their nose and mouth. They were vomiting blood. So they all ran away from the situation. So next day morning, again Shyamananda increased even more party. When he was coming forward to do Sankirtan, this time Sher Khan comes forward and falls at the feet of Shyamananda Pandit and says, please forgive me for whatever offences I have committed yesterday. Yesterday you saw our faces got burnt and we were vomiting blood. But when I went home in the night, I had a dream in which Lord appeared to me in a very fearful form. And later he transformed into most gentle personality in a golden complexion, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very angry and he warned me, do not disrupt my Sankirtan. Take shelter of Shyamananda Pandit, or else you are going to become a permanent resident of hell and suffer for all your sinful activities. So with this statement, Lord had given me an opportunity. Please forgive me. Please make me your disciple. Then Shyamananda Pandit becomes very happy and initiates him as Sri Chaitanya Das.
He wanted that every Indian should seriously take his Krishna consciousness movement, make his life perfect and distribute the knowledge. This is India's duty. So you have got one opportunity, you Indian people, that you take this advantage of distributing Krishna consciousness. It is good for you and for everyone. Every Indian should study Bhagavad Gita and if possible Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and assimilate it and preach all over the world. This is the duty of India. India has no other duty. Paropakar. So with our one man's endeavor, teeny effort, we can see that so many outsiders, they are attracted to Krishna consciousness. Unless there is something substance, they are not illiterate, they are not fools, they are not poor. Why they are attracted? There is something to be learned from Krishna consciousness. So this Krishna consciousness movement is spread all over the world regularly. Then the face of the world will change. That's a fact. Sarve Sukhina Bhavantu. This is the Vedic mission. Let everyone become happy.
Any questions, please? Okay, then again next week we'll meet. Next subject of this Bhagavad Gita, we'll continue from there. This is the technical chapter. Prabhupada says if you can, one can understand this Bhagavad Gita, this specific chapter, they can understand entire Bhagavad Gita. Like this, an analyzation of body, the soul, the super soul, what their capacities are, what influences are, who is the doer, like the technical details will be described. So we'll keep understanding them in the further classes. So let us try to learn and let us try to understand and let us try to practice these principles of this specific chapter. So thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
प्रभु जी हरे कृष्णा
Hare
हरे
Krishna.
कृष्णा